Hello everyone. Happy Monday. Happy new moon in Libra. So it's been a pretty exciting day. Energies everywhere. I'll just give everyone a minute to jump on. Hi Nicole. Hi Kayla. So good to see you. So I'm gonna just give it like another minute or so. Oh, thank you. I love it too. I'm super excited. It came in the other day. I've been waiting for like a month. But it's like the sun and the moon and, you know, that's my story. So I hope you guys are starting to feel better. All right, well, tonight we're going to get started. Tonight we're going to talk about the, excuse me. All right, tonight we're going to talk about the 48th gene key, and we actually are moving out of the 48th gene key today, but the 48th gene key is the shadow of inadequacy, the gift of resourcefulness, and then of course the city of wisdom, right? So we're going to move from feeling inadequate to having an unlimited source of wisdom through this gene key. And there's so many different ways that we experience inadequacy in our lives, and it can be through our relationships, it can be our sexuality, it can be our experience in our careers, trying to find our place in the world, and different aspects of all of those can bring out different elements of feeling inadequate within ourselves. And when we think about this shadow, right, when we think about what it truly means to be or feel inadequate, it comes down to the fear of not being enough. It's the fear of not being seen, of not being heard, of not being understood, and it can be on so many different levels depending on the situation or the experience that we're in. And when I sat back and I took some time to really think about this key, the 48th gene key reminded me very strongly of the serenity prayer, right? And it really comes down to knowing what we can't change. It's having the courage to change what we can, and of course the wisdom, right? The city of this entire key, the wisdom to know the difference. And so that hit me like super hardcore the other day when I was really thinking about what it means to go up through all three levels of this particular gene key. And as you know, as we evolve, you know, as humans, we rarely understand what we're truly capable of. It's more common for us to fear our inadequacies. You know, we have examples of greatness all over around, you know, all over the world around us in our environments. We see what greatness is, and yet we tell ourselves, but we can't do that, or I'm not capable of that, or, you know, it's just one of those things where no matter what we're truly capable of, somehow we talk ourselves out of it. And I'm not saying that other people don't talk us out of things, but I would say most of the time we've already talked ourselves out of it if we're allowing somebody else to talk us out of something. So that's something to think about. And, you know, when you think of the collective, you know, stress and strife within a collective, they tend to bring the collective together, right? Like a natural disaster, it takes something so severe, so damaging to bring the collective together in most cases. Maybe a hurricane or a tornado or a fire or, you know, a volcano, whatever it may be. It tends to take these type of disasters to bring the collective together. And when that happens, without even thinking about it, our capabilities come out, our adequacies come out. We know exactly what we need to do. We do it without hesitating. And it's if we could find a way to harness that energy, that power outside of chaos, outside of a destructive situation, just imagine how much further we would go individually, together, as a human race, where we could go if we weren't so scared of the unknown. Something else that came up for me when I was kind of researching into this particular key is, as we enter the shadow of inadequacy, we tend to find ourselves within these fixed patterns, these fixed situations that we created for ourselves. We hold ourselves to these particular patterns and limit our perceptions just basically out of fear, right? Because we don't want people to laugh at us, or we don't want people to judge us. So it's like compounded on top of each other. And there's two sides to every key. There is the repressive side, and then there is the reactive side. And the repressive side of this gene key, and in my mind I picture flamingos, right? The repressive side, which is the majority of the collective, is those that tend to keep their heads so buried down in the sand, if they can't see it, it doesn't exist, right? They are too afraid to face their fears, and so they're forced to experience them. The universe forces us into these situations when we try to avoid them. I mean, we can only avoid a particular lesson for so long before it slams us in the face, and we have no choice but to resolve, to move through this particular experience or this situation. I mean, we can't just live with our head in the sand forever. I mean, we could try, but then I think it's just that much harder every time these lessons come around, because we're not prepared for them. We're not learning from them, you know? And I think the true test to this particular repressive side, right? The true test is, once you've learned this lesson, are you going to go bury your head again as soon as it's over? Or are you going to learn from it, right? So you have to make that choice. What am I going to do with what just happened? What am I going to do with this experience? Am I going to pretend it never happened? Am I going to run from it and hope it never happens again? Or am I going to prepare myself for the next time this maybe comes around and I crush it twice as fast as I did this time, and maybe it never comes back around again, right? So to me, that's kind of the repressive side, is understanding that part of the shadow, that part of our tendencies, to where we're aware of it. And that's really what the shadows are all about. It's forcing us to fight through the fog so that we can become aware of the battlefield, so that we can be aware of what's happening. We can be more present. Now, like I said, there's a repressive side and there's a reactive side to each of these keys. And, you know, as there was that repressive side, the reactive side is more for the manipulators of fear, right? It's for those who are so angry, they're so unable to see their fears for what they are. They're unable to accept that they have their own fears, that they almost create this paranoia within the environment around them to keep people in this constant state of fear of their inadequacies, right? They may spout things off, you know, without thinking about them, or not even realizing that what they're doing is hurting others. And in some cases, maybe they don't care if they hurt other people. But, you know, when it comes to the reactive state, it's more of an aggressive take instead of the meek hiding type of this particular key. And it's not to say that the repressive is any better than the reactive. I mean, they're both the shadow work. We have to figure that out for ourselves. You know, there is no one is worse than the other. It just is. And we have to figure out what we're going to do with the role we play, right? and when we think of the different areas where we feel inadequate, maybe it's our body image, right? It's, are my breasts big enough? Do I have the sex appeal? Am I skinny enough? Do I wear clothes that flatter my figure instead of, looking some other way that people would judge me for? And, and this goes even deeper. This isn't just for women. Men also suffer from this particular body image of inadequacy. I mean, I see it every day. And then, of course, we can take it to inadequacy as far as money. Do I make enough money? Do I make too much money? Am I giving enough of my money, for charity? Am I too materialistic? And it's just this constant, like we could go down a rabbit hole in all the different ways we might feel inadequate. And, with our jobs, our careers, is my boss seeing me the way that I think I'm performing? Will I get promoted, or am I strong enough to terminate this employee? So it's just all these different internal dialogues that we have within ourselves, these made up realities that haven't even come to play yet, but we're already playing it out in our heads and trying to control a situation that hasn't even happened yet. And so when we do that, right, we step out of the moment, we step out of the present situation and into a false reality that we create for ourselves. And so, it goes so deep. I mean, even our parenting, right? For those of you who are parents, parenting is hard as hell, and so it's staying confident that you know what you're doing as a parent, even though we don't, but it's staying in the moment and making the decisions in accordance to our authorities, right? Knowing and feeling and tuning into our intuition, to knowing what's right. And as we work through the shadows, right, as we do the work, because we have to do the work to move in, then we move into this gift of resourcefulness. And this is kind of like embracing the unknown, right? Once we embrace the unknown, we can master this key. It's knowing that you're never going to have all the answers. There's always going to be an unknown. And so you have to kind of accept that. You have to work through that, right? This particular gift in the Gene Keys is known as the light at the bottom of the well. And kind of like the water well, right? And every time we draw from our inner well, we gain this new lesson, this new perspective. We grow in a new way as we decide and make that choice to dig down and pull up from our inner, resourcefulness. And it's trusting that the lessons that we're experiencing are providing us with exactly what we need at exactly the right time. It's enforcing our consciousness to see the illusion of inadequacy, because that's all it is an illusion, right? And so as you begin to be present, as you begin to trust life, the answers that we seek, they just start coming to us. And we find that we have these answers more spontaneously, and our gifts begin to emerge with this new gusto, and we're able to be more aware, right? And it really just comes down to awareness and how aware we're going to be in each moment, and knowing that life is on its own schedule. The universe has its own divine schedule, and though we may want things to turn out a certain way, we really just have to tune in and ride that wave. Because timing is out of our control. It will always be out of our control. And that's not to make us inadequate. That doesn't make us inadequate. It's a fact. So it's just something we have to embrace and roll with it, right? Something that I had read when I was studying up on this gene key, and it resonated with me, was that we're all meant to be prosperous in this life. We're all meant to have just a little bit more than we need in this lifetime. And so when we begin to believe this, when we begin to embrace this concept, our life changes. The energies around us change. We begin to find new resources, right? We become resourceful and our lights shine a little bit brighter. Our gifts are meant to help other people. And so as we're able to embrace those and channel through those gifts, we're able to help others, to serve others. And it's through that service that we also become fulfilled within ourselves. And that is when we're able to see that shift, right? And we're able to finally begin to understand the city of wisdom that comes through this particular gene key. And it said that, what was that? I heard a quote. It said that wisdom is born from the unknown. And that's a paradox if I've ever heard one. The wisdom is born from the unknown. And it's because when we don't know something, we don't have a pre-definition of what it is. We don't know the answer yet. And so we're able to tune in just a little bit more to our intuition. We can't rely on an experience we've had in the past or an experience somebody else told us about. It's completely foreign to us. And that's when we're able to tap into that pure wisdom that we all hold within ourselves. And in order to achieve this inner wisdom, we have to embrace humanity for what it is and not what it's not. So I don't know if I said that in a clear way, but we have to embrace humanity for what it is and not what it's not. So it's allowing yourself to feel all the feels. It's allowing yourself to think all the thoughts, to be who you want to be. It's taking and being and embracing the moment and what it means to be human. And yeah, we want to be rock stars. We want to be the best at anything and everything that we can be, but are we being honorable along the way? And are we taking the time to take the focus off ourselves and put it back on other people, right? Because most of the time it's, I want to be the best. I want to do this. I need to achieve this. But it's all about you. It's all about me. Like when we make those goals, very rarely is it because of the collective, right? And so think about that as you begin to kind of make your goals and see yourself in a certain place. Don't forget to also envision who's helping you get there and who's going to help you grow into that image that you're wanting to fulfill about yourself. Feeling inadequate is almost the perfect beginning to this particular key, because we feel inadequacy deep down in our bodies. We feel I'm going to say congestion of it, right? Because nothing is moving quite at the pace it should when we're lost in this shadow of inadequacy. And as we begin to grow and as we begin to evolve, we find ourselves to be the perfect resource for our own wisdom, right? And that's really what it's all about, is becoming your own resource and understanding what that means and tapping into that particular gift so that you can be the wisdom that you need. It's not, sure, I have friends. I mean, I'll go, Kayla, hey, I need your help with something, or, maybe I'm overthinking something. So yes, I'm not saying you can't have friends to help you navigate that wisdom. But truly, I believe that we are the resource of our wisdom, and it's going to take the work to recondition and tap into that wisdom so that we can kind of surveil and see at a higher level what's going on around us and make decisions from a higher place than inadequacy, right? So that's the 48th gene key. And there's so much more to go into that, but I feel like that's a really good dive into those three aspects of it. We're also in the new moon. And so I don't know if you guys have any plans tonight, but one of the things that I really like to do during a new moon is write out my intentions. And I tend to light a candle and have water and stuff, but I really, really like to take and just write out things that I want to set for my intentions. And then sometimes I set it on fire, and sometimes I set it under a quartz crystal. And so it just depends, you know, what you have available to you. But if you haven't had a chance to do that yet today, I do recommend it. It's a great time to do that, to set those intentions and begin a moon cycle, and watch how that grows, and that those intentions manifest. And yeah, I'm super pumped about it. I'm so excited about it. Like, I've really been looking forward to this new moon. And so when I found out I was actually having this segment on the new moon, I was like, yes! Like, what the perfect gene key to throw out there for setting intentions and manifestations, and just kind of starting fresh, right? It's taking an understanding that, yeah, maybe I feel inadequate right at this moment, but I'm about to manifest for that to go away. I'm about to move through that and back into the gift of resourcefulness, and make it happen. So thank you all for tuning in, and I would love to hear your thoughts and what's coming up for you on this particular gene key. And let me know if there's anything else you want to hear more about or see more about during these segments, and I'll make it happen. So I hope you guys are enjoying your evening, and reach out to me if you have any questions. Have a good night.